Welcome to Upper Pylon 2.
Oh, hold on a minute. Let me do this part. I'm going to change it up a little bit for it, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, you asked me to do it, and then I won't do it.
No, I said do the other parts. All right, here we go. Welcome to Upper Pylon 2. Our mission is to normally provide you with an in-depth review of every episode of DS9 in the order they were originally broadcast, but tonight we're here to celebrate Season 3 of Deep Space Nine with our third, quote-unquote, annual UP Awards. And I'm Matt in Buffalo.
And I'm Blair from Ontario, Canada.
And I'm Chris in South Carolina.
And this is Matt from Arizona, and you are cleared for docking. That's right. I am in command of the station tonight because I've assigned Captain Melissa to do inventory in the cargo bay. And she's not happy with me, but so is life. But anyway, we are here to celebrate the end of Season 3 with our annual, quote-unquote, seasonal UP Awards, I guess we could say. And as always, it's hosted by our wonderful MC, the one, the only Matt Smonsky. So whenever you're ready, Matt, take it away.
With pleasure. So traditionally we start these with a recap of my stats analysis of the season that we just enjoyed. So we always do the scores for everyone, average them together with any guests that we have, and also I go back through and get all of our main cast scores if they missed a recording, and then we rank the episodes. And now the interesting thing here is these scores don't necessarily reflect the UP voting that we'll be having coming up. It's kind of interesting because these are all scored in the moment, so it actually differs coming up. So just from bottom to worst, feel free, guys, to interject anywhere where you think something is way too low or way too high. But we start out with the bottom of the barrel, and there's only one episode that ranked worse than this in all of Deep Space Nine to date. But the worst and the only one in the one star level is Meridian at 1.6.
Insert roaring applause here.
Yeah, that's earned. That is earned.
That's earned for sure. I have a hard time deciding between that and Distant Voices were really unpleasant.
Well, now that you mention that, we're going to start climbing up very slowly up that bell curve with our 2-star group of episodes. Going up, Distant Voices at 2.45, going up to Life Support, and then kind of the sneaky one that was kind of a surprise bad episode going back in this was Shakar.
Yeah.
And those are our only 3 kind of crap episodes. Or, 2-star crap episodes.
Mediocre episodes.
Now, Meridian being the second lowest ever, what was our lowest ranking? Do you recall, and which episode that was? And what season?
Yes.
Melora?
Yes. Oh, Melora.
That's
yes,
right.
How could I have forgotten?
I'm going back to get the actual Melora score. And
so I guess the moral of the story is singular episode titles that start with an M on this show are bad.
Or
That's
episodes
true.
that are just misogynistic at their heart.
But the thing is, Melora had a 1.35 and Meridian is a 1.6. So there's still a good separation between this and that. Melora is awful.
Yeah, but so is Meridian.
Yeah, but man, well, I would have had some episodes that if I had my way would be way down there as well. But
the only it's misogynistic as hell. But the only entertainment value that I get out of Meridian that I don't get out of Melora is the B story with Quark trying to get holographic Kira, and I don't feel good about enjoying that. So
you shouldn't, because that. Yeah, that whole episode, God, man, that was just.
You defended it. What do you?
I know, but in retrospect, you start thinking about these things, and you're like, "What the hell was I thinking?" You listen to the episode, and you're like, that was a terrible argument. No, yeah, it's awful.
I was saying all these things at the time.
You're right. You're always spot on, man, and I'm always a couple steps behind. We know this.
So now we got to kind of blow through the 3s from the bottom going up. We have the Abandoned, Destiny, Fascination, which is too high in this list.
Not high enough.
Facets, Explorers, Profit Motive, Family Business, Second Skin, Equilibrium, and then just missing the 4 at 3.95 is Through the Looking Glass.
Really? Wow.
That's the one I would have nudged slightly up, maybe.
Yeah.
I thought I would have nudged Family Business for
Me too. I was a little surprised.
I don't think this will be a UP without me saying, which episode was that again? What was Fascination again?
That was the one where the Loxana Troy comes on board and everyone's falling in love with everybody else.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
Oh, yeah,
that was
that
a
wasn't
good
bad.
one.
I think it's in the right place though. It's right in the middle.
Yeah, true.
See, outvoted.
It's also the episode, also known as the one where they undo all the good that Troy did on Deep Space Nine.
No, that's the next episode that she's in.
And now we move up into the much more
Rarefied air.
Yeah, much more memorable episodes. Hopefully, I can't speak for Chris, but into the 4s we go. Heart of Stone. I would have switched maybe Heart of Stone with Through the Looking Glass. Looking back at this, I think they should have leapfrogged each other.
Yeah, I agree with
You
that.
think Looking Glass is better?
Yes.
Then Heart of Stone, yeah.
Uh.
I like what Heart of Stone was trying to do, but it just was kind of dull, was the whole end review of that, if I recall correctly. But Heart of Stone, then The Search Part 2, the cumulative The Search story. Then we have The House of Quark, Past Tense Part 2, Defiant, Past Tense Part 1, The Search Part 1, Visionary, the cumulative score of the Past Tense arc, The Adversary, Improbable Cause, and then just missing the perfect scores, we have Civil Defense at 4.92.
Really? I thought Civil Defense got the perfect 5. Who ruined it?
I think Winter Rose did.
Oh, yes.
Damn you, Winter Rose. And he gave it a 4.5, so I just dropped it down. But then we're left with the elites, which is The Die is Cast, and then the cumulative score of The Die is Cast and Improbable Cause arc, both with the perfect 5s.
I would have included Civil Defense in there, but that sounds about right.
And you guys just knocked Adversary probably out as well, because of the Thing reference, I think. Because I thought I think I gave that a 5.
I scored that pretty high.
Yeah, but that was one of my favorites all season, I think. But
We all were hovering in that it got no lower than a 4. I'm sorry, I gave it a 4, but Matt gave it a 4.5. Mine was basically that 4.5, but I don't do the halves.
Right. So he ruins the curve.
yeah, exactly.
What is? Are we going to move on to our individual averages and then the average for the whole season?
So would it be fair, gentlemen, to say that we all kind of think the seasons have gotten progressively better?
We would assume that.
I would. That's my that's my feeling about season 3. You're about to tell me otherwise.
Well, no, because I'm happy to report that our averages bear this out. Season 1 averaged 3.68, season 2 3.82, and then just barely higher, season 3 was 3.89. Now, the interesting thing here in the stats is, Matt, calling you up to answer for this, you have progressively gotten the season slightly worse on your averages. Season 1 started out with 3.9, and you worked your way down to 3.87. Granted, these are all practically the same statistically speaking, but it's just a funny thing that turned out in the stats.
Well, I mean, I think season 1 had fewer episodes, and there weren't too many episodes that I really didn't like in season 1. This season had 3 really low episodes for me. That being Meridian, Distant Voices, and Shakar.
Yeah, they had some real duds, I think. So, but some really good ones.
And no shock here, but the Positivity Award goes to Melissa. She scored this on average the highest with a 4.45, leaving virtually nowhere to go from here. So she's really up there. And then the real battle is always between Blair and myself for the negativity award on the season.
Oh no!
And
Did I take it for a third year, or did you steal it?
No, I'm glad, happy to announce that I've retaken that title. My average on the season was a 3.48. Blair's was a 3.59. And then, of course, Chris is all over the place. He goes from a 4.25 in season 1 down to 3.97, and then back up to a 4.09 on the season.
Good. This season was good.
Consistency award.
Season 1 was fantastic. Y'all are crazy. It's the best first season in all of Star Trek. I'll go to my grave with that.
You mean of the spinoffs?
Of any Star Trek. Well, I guess you're saying TOS season 1.
Yeah.
But I still think, as far as highs and lows go, Deep Space Nine is still going to be.
It is one of the better ones, I think. But so you gave us the average for this season, right? So we are steadily going up.
Yes. And I'm happy that it seems like we're evening out between the positivity of of Melissa and Chris, and Blair and I kind of bring it down a little bit, and Matt rides right in that middle. So it actually kind of all really bears out as like the averages work out, I think, pretty well. When you look at the final scores, it makes a lot of sense what we're doing.
I mean, you point me out for like having my scores go down, but I like keeping that nice even keel.
No, I'm sure if I did actual statistical testing, as goofy as that might sound, your scores are virtually identical.
Yeah, they're within 100th of a point, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
I will say though, like, except for maybe a couple of episodes next season, because there's always going to be some duds, my score is probably going to get progressively higher.
I got to imagine that we're going to all trend upwards in the near future. So, now that we got the stat stuff out of the way, should we get to the real meat of the show, the actual UP Awards?
The categories. Yes.
That's right. So, right out the gates, we have to announce that 2 of our historical categories, we had to put them to bed this year. First, the Paj is dead. We can't really sustain a Paj category anymore, so that has been retired. There is no longer the biggest Paj moment.
I mean, but the listeners' loss is our gain, because now Bashir is an actually great character that we can like do interesting things with.
I'm going to posit, though, that there's probably a Paj-like character, or at least 2 or 3 Paj-like characters in every season going forward, and probably even in this season if we had thought about it before right this second.
We can. I know we're about to retire another category.
Bashir. We could have a Paj.
We could just have biggest asshole.
Yeah, but we'll still call it the Paj Award.
Which brings us to our other retired category, the biggest a-hole Bajoran. And we're just going to retire this and give it to Kai Wynn until...
Amen.
Until
she is burned in flames.
You get the Golden Bajoran Asshole Award, Kai Wynn. Enjoy. Drink it up.
Now, is that UP bending over? Just out of curiosity.
It's not a literal asshole, Blair.
Oh, sorry.
What are you doing? What are you doing here?
Give a nice clean silence for an edit. All right. And so let's get out the gates with my personal favorite award in this. The best fight and or action scene in season 3 of Deep Space Nine. The nominees are the phaser turret in Civil Defense, the Cardassian and Romulan attack fleet on the Founder homeworld, the firefight in Through the Looking Glass, and Cisco, Jarrell, Jadzia fisticuffs.
Tell me Jadzia won.
You didn't even vote for that, even though that was your suggestion. That garnered 0% of the vote. The UP goes to the Cardassian and Romulan attack fleet on the Founder homeworld. But it was fairly split. The phaser turret in Civil Defense had a strong showing. And then I ended up voting personally for the phaser firefight and Through the Looking Glass, because that was just something we hadn't really experience. That was still,
That's cool.
it was really novel. So I kind of voted on the novelty of that one.
We had some good options here. And I threw in
We
the
did.
stupid one just for fun.
The next, I can only imagine how hard the next season is going to be, considering what the action sequence we open with on the next episode.
Yeah.
Well, this was a category I wrote back in season 1 thinking, oh, well, this one is one you got to have early, but this is the category that pays off when we get further into the show. So moving on, this is not necessarily the two best categories for Deep Space Nine, because the first one is Best Alien One-Off or so. The nominees are Bashir's Dumb Dream Alien, the Zenkethi, and because we had no one else to include into this, the Meridians.
Mm.
Please tell me the ones who never even showed up on screen won.
Yes.
Please.
And
please,
They had to have won.
please tell me the ones that never showed up on screen.
And by unanimous vote, the UP goes to the Zenkethi. Basically on their
That's what I'm
potential,
talking about.
I guess.
That is what I'm talking. The other two were so
Bad.
that the
Yes.
one who
Like,
you don't even see on screen.
Even when I was filling out the ballot, I'm like, this has to win by default because the other two just suck.
Which brings us to the much more competitive version of this. The nominees for Worst Alien One-Off or so are Bashir's Dumb Dream Alien and the Meridians.
It's a tough one.
This
Yeah,
was a
Meridians.
tough one.
The Meridians win for pure.
I think I voted for the Meridians.
Yeah, I think I did too.
The UP goes to the Meridians. Not by unanimous voting, but very strong results. The Meridians. Awful. Awful stuff.
Now, I didn't think about this when we were creating the ballot, but what about the Scent Aliens? What were those guys?
The Flaxians?
The Flaxians. Are they one-offs or not?
They were.
That's true. But
Yeah.
I kind of was going through when we were when the committee was pulling together the nominees. He's just so forgettable.
Except for his face, bro. I cannot forget that face with the little
That
feel.
was some good makeup.
Anyway, sorry. Flaxians. Flaxians still aren't better than Zenkethi. Let's go.
So the much more memorable aliens come up in our next category. The nominees for Best Repeating Aliens are the Cardassians, the Romulans, the Founders, the Jem'Hadar, and the Ferengi. And what I can only imagine is off the strength of their last showing, the UP goes to the Founders.
Yes, as it
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, because they finally got a real sense of real dread, I think, in that very last scene of the season.
Not just that. I mean, like, this was a season where we had a couple of stories dedicated to the Founders, and they were one of the new threats that we met this season. So that's why I voted for them, at least.
I did too.
And it's a weird category in that you're playing off the Ferengi, who are just practically pure comedy, to just like the most pure evil version. And it's interesting that we have them directly competing against each other in a category.
I mean, they're both good for separate reasons, but I mean, like, I felt like I learned a lot more about the Founders this season.
Sure. So another very fun category is our funniest moment. Speaking of the Ferengi, the nominees are meeting the hippies in past tense, Quark being forced to kiss Zek's staff, the Klingons not understanding business information,
Yes.
the almost literal pie fight that ends the episode Fascination, Zek in a sack, and hammock time, yo.
That was just funny because it was awkward.
Yeah, this was a
And-
tough one for me. I think I went for the hippies. But
Zek in a sack better win.
Well, my rule of thumb on this is I'm always going to vote for a Zek. Always. I did vote for Zek and a sack. However, the UP goes to the Klingons not understanding business information.
That was I was tied with that one, and yeah, that was
Yes,
funny.
that was the funniest thing this
That
season.
was pretty hilarious.
Ugh.
It was pretty good, but still, I love me my.
You love your Zek.
Second a sack was the most funny thing this season.
Oh, suck it, Chris.
Made funnier by our podcast, which means we should have allowed it to win. And I refuse to suck it, sir.
But speaking of our podcast, we have a lot of fun reviewing these episodes. However, there are several that are pretty big drags. But let's not focus on the negativity. What episodes were the most fun to review? The nominees are the Past Tense Arc, Facets, The Adversary, Civil Defense, and Meridian. You know, it can be fun to rip on a horrible episode and to praise the good one. Any predictions, guys?
I think Civil Defense may get the vote here.
I voted Civil Defense.
We had a lot of good discussion, had a lot of laughs on that one too, I think.
By near unanimous voting, the UP goes to Civil Defense.
Yes.
I was the lone dissenter in this, and I voted for Past Tense just because it's a fun episode, yet still has a lot of social commentary, yet had some good flaws, and it was really fun, prompted a lot of conversations. More so, I think, in episode 2. We might have been a little unfocused in episode 1, but it still was a hell of a lot of fun, I thought.
I don't think you're wrong. I just talking about Civil Defense makes me happy.
It's true. So we tend to visit the mirror universe once a season, which leads us to this category where we have to pick who the best mirror universe character is. The nominees are Smiley, Attendant Kira, Bashir, because he was there too and being annoying, Garrick, and poor dead Rom. And I'm a little surprised by this one. The UP goes to Smiley.
Yay!
I just like that character a little bit more in this universe because there's a little bit of growth to him. Kira's fun, but kind of one-note-ish all too often. And then Garrick...
Garrick is too close to his Prime Universe self to make me think he's the best.
And they missed opportunities with him to make him stand out in that universe too.
Now, if Odo hadn't died first episode, I think it would always be Odo.
Oh, yeah, it would be interesting.
So, speaking of poor dead Rom in the mirror universe and the plague of dead Ferengis over there, we have to talk about the best death scene in season 3. The nominees are Vedic Boring finally dying, Mirror Rom, the duplicate version of O'Brien in Visionary, the founder in The Adversary, and the poor red shirt who got vaporized in Civil Defense. And the UP goes to duplicate O'Brien in Visionary.
Really?
That's interesting.
I did. Who voted for that? I didn't think.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Yeah, I didn't vote for that.
Well,
All right, who's stuffing the ballot box?
Yeah.
I thought the adversary, the changeling, would have taken that one.
I thought either the changeling or the red shirt, because that red shirt had a pretty glorious death.
Well, I, for one, voted for the duplicate O'Brien, as did Melissa, and as did Chris. Clicking random things once again.
I didn't click random things. No, I really did like the O'Brien.
Well, if it goes by pure cool, the red shirt had the same kind of effect of Odo exploding in the mirror universe.
Yeah,
That's just awesome. but from kind of emotion and interesting, weird science fiction potential kind of stuff, O'Brien, his duplicate dying and forcing the other one through, that's very interesting. So that was basically where my vote went on that one. Chris, why did you vote for it? Defend yourself.
I voted for O'Brien because I just liked seeing him die a couple times. And I love the comedy of how they played it a couple times and how he saw himself die and the conversation that stemmed from it. So it was kind of like a multitude of things. But that was the most memorable one for me, and so that's the one I went with.
And I would have put Tane in this, but, spoilers. Speaking of Tane, we get to one of our fun categories. The nominees for Best Cardassian are Tane, Garrick, Dukat, and Gamor from Second Skin, if you remember him. I liked him. Nobody voted for him, but I liked him. He deserved to get in there. And because the third-party candidate ruined everything, Tane stole one vote, the UP goes to Garrick.
I think he keeps winning this award, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it's like...
I think he even beat Ducat even in season 1, and Garrick just showed up for one episode. I can't remember, though.
I will check and stall for a second here.
It's hard to say, because we only really have two main Cardassians show up all the time.
Well, yeah, it's always going to go between those two.
Except next season, he doesn't do much, but we finally do get the premiere of Damar.
Yeah, true. I like Damar.
I think Damar is going to be a contender as the show.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Not this season, but definitely probably
5
6 or
onward.
7. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking for it. I have it here. Oh. Hold on. Who the hell is... See, I'm going to edit all this out. Don't worry. I'm trying to figure out who this one... DS9. Okay, hold on. I got to find now season 2.
I think I can almost guarantee Garrick won it in season 2.
Well, you guys forget what happened in season 1, so hold on.
It could have been Ducat in season 1, though.
Okay, here we go. So going back and checking the archives. Guys, we forgot about how awesome Ritza was in season 1.
Oh, right.
He took the honors of Best Cardassian there.
Wow.
However, in season 2, Garrick did win there, so we have him retaining the title.
He maximizes minutes this season, so he won. I mean, he's deserving.
And Ducat kind of disappeared to an extent. He had a couple he had an episode where he just appeared on a monitor, kind of sneering a little bit. He was great in civil defense.
I had forgotten about Explorers, but I thought the 2 episodes that he does actually physically appear in are very strong episodes, that being Civil Defense and Defiant.
Well, yeah. I mean, this category is just going to flat out go back and forth between Garrick and Ducat.
I might throw in a vote for Damar once we get to those later seasons.
Me too.
Third party spoiler. But no, seriously, when he is struggling in that 7th season, yeah, he's pretty good. And I honestly don't remember if I liked Ducat's story at that point with him messing around with the bad prophets or not.
The power wraiths.
Yeah.
But right up until that point, he still gets really good, because I think his best episode comes in season 6 with that waltz, the one where he and Cisco are stranded on the planet and he's clearly mentally ill.
Yeah, I remember that one fondly. So we have our scores, and that rates them on their quality, but not necessarily on their entertainment value. So the nominees for most entertaining episode are The House of Quark, The Past Tense Arc, The Improbable Cause, The Die is Cast Arc, Visionary, and The Adversary. And how can you lose with giant fleet battles? The UP goes to The Improbable Cause and The Die is Cast arc. Because that really had everything. That first episode had the mystery. It had like kind of the detective stuff going into the psychological aspects later on, and then wrapping it up with some pretty fun action. In fact, a UP award-winning action.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the few part twos that isn't a letdown. And actually, going forward, I hesitate to think of many part twos that have a letdown in DS9. I mean, we'll see if we when we get there, but certainly the Paranoia two-parter next season, Homefront Paradise Lost, that's not a bad second part.
That's a great
yeah, so once they drop the part 1, part 2 deal, essentially is when that kind of starts happening.
I guess so, because like I'm thinking like in season 5, In Purgatory Shadow and By Inferno's Light are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but you know what wasn't amazing? A lot of acting this season.
I know which one I voted for here. Better win.
Facets, or facets?
No, it wasn't in Facets.
Yeah, hold your horses, because we have a couple categories here. The nominees for worst acting, not featuring a primary cast member, are Mir Sisko's wife, Viper 3 in Destiny, Brain Dead, Vedic Boring, and Very Much Alive, Vedic Boring.
I think I made a mistake here.
There was a potential to have a split vote here going on, but I'm happy to announce that the UP goes to Very Much Alive, Vedic Boring.
Oh my god, that tells you something.
I feel like it's splitting hairs though, because like Very Much Alive, Vedic Boring is bad, but like I think I ended up voting for Brain Dead, Vedic Boring because it didn't even change.
Well, see, that was our mistake, man. That was probably the best acting he'd done on the entire series.
I think we commented on that too.
I don't remember complimenting it though. I was like, it doesn't matter. There's still a vote for the same person.
And I do. Too bad Melissa's not here because she threw some shade at the third Viper in Destiny. She got that one vote in on that one. She was awful too. I mean, these are all very regrettable acting decisions.
But I know for sure what I voted in the main character one. So
right. So the nominees for worst acting of a main cast member are. Hold on, I'll edit this out. We'll wait for Blair to get back in.
Yeah.
Before he gets in,
I know what I voted on this one, and as questionable as some of those Facets performers are, there's a clear answer here, as far as I'm concerned.
You back in, Blair?
I'm good. I don't know why it's doing that every time.
No. Well, we paused. I'm just going to do the nominations for worst main cast member.
Okay, thanks.
Bashir as an old man in his dreams. Bashir in Facets. Sisko in Facets. And Kira in Facets. And I'm kind of surprised by this one. The UP goes to...
But what in Facets?
No, Bashir as the old man in his dreams.
Oh,
yes, that's far worse than anything in Facets.
No, I loved Old Man Bashir.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
See, Hanson, I think you and I have been voting quite similar this UP season 3 voting.
Yeah.
I think Melissa and I both voted for Cisco and Facets. That's just so bad.
It was
I
bad.
didn't vote
But
I thought
like,
I voted for Cisco and Facets.
I'm sorry.
You better
Yes, Chris voted for it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
If it was 3, I was going to rechange the winner. We had to get that fixed. Right?
There's no voting after the fact. All right. Enough of that bad stuff. Let's talk about the best guest one-off or so. The nominees are Gamora. You know, that Cardassian from Second Skin. He was good. I had to throw him in. Brunt, FCA. Riker in Defiant. And Moogie. That was a bad rhyme. I could do better, but I'm not going to. The UP goes to Moogie.
I think
Really?
it's deserving. I know. I can't remember what I voted for. I know I voted for either Brunt or Moody. Though.
Yeah, I think I voted for Brunt.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to vote for Brunt, but he's just not in there enough in this episode. He might get it later on. He might get removed over to best repeating guest or best Ferengi or something like that. But he comes in, has a couple good looks, a couple good moments, but the heavy lifting in that episode for comedy and drama was Moogie. She earned it.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, the Moogster's always a.
I
great
think
one.
I think we're gonna have a good time though when we get to something like season 6. I think when we get to season 6, we need to have a best Ferengi category, especially since we get that magnificent Ferengi episode.
Absolutely. Oh man, I think I love that episode. It's been a long time. I think I love that episode.
No, you don't think. You love that episode.
Yeah,
It's
it is
so
good.
So those are our one-offs. How about our best repeated guests? And I know these categories get a little murky, just roll of us. But the nominees are Tane, awesome. Troy, not so awesome. Win, and Zach, awesome.
Gee, I wonder who you voted for.
Oh,
Yeah.
if it's a Zach in a category, I'm voting for him. I mean, it's
Second bag.
pretty much that simple.
I think you have to abstain next season. I don't think he's in season 4.
Nonsense. Well, we'll figure out a way to get him involved. The UP goes to my boy Zach. Absolutely, 2 fun episodes. I mean, kind of one was pretty flawed in that, I think, but
What? Wait a minute.
He was good.
He wasn't in. Was he in 2? I think he was in 1.
Oh shit, was he not in 2? I thought he was in 2.
He's only in Profit Motive, I think. I don't, because he's not in Family Business. They go to the Ferengi homeworld, but he's not in it.
Never mind. I thought he was in 2 of them. Oh, he
His
left
sta-
such a strong impression.
I mean, his staff is in The Search, but he's not in it.
All right. So, I think we're entering into our very big awards now. The nominees for Best Single Moment of Season 3 of Deep Space Nine are the attack on the Founders' homeworld, the last scene of the season where the Founders are everywhere, the torture scene between Odo and Garrick, and the phaser turret in Civil Defense.
You want to wait to announce the winner?
Yeah, I'm going to. I noticed him dropping out.
What the hang, man? My wife won't stop making noise in the kitchen, so I can't even unmute to say any silly shit.
I'm back.
Best single moment of season 3. I'm going to announce the winner right now. And the UP goes to the torture scene between Odo and Garrick.
Yeah, that was quite good.
I mean, all 4 of those are really good for any number of different reasons. But that did garner 50% of the vote. So we love our characters in this show, and we started to notice that they have some very strong pairings that occurred, and very noticeably in this season. So I believe this is a new category for the UPees, and kind of an overcrowded one, which says a lot about the quality of these character interactions. The nominees for Best Character Duos are Odo and Quark, Bashir and O'Brien, Bashir and Garrick, Nog and Jake, Cisco and Dax, Odo and Garrick, and Quark and Rom. Now, we have our first tie in these UPees. It's a split between Bashir and Garrick. Very good. And off the strength of the Improbable Cause arc, Odo and Garrick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this was a hard one even beyond that too. Like there were a couple other options that were really good and really kind of came to the end of the season. This is where DS9 excels.
I think I voted for Odo Garrick because that's not a pairing you see often, and you should have.
But you notice the true winner in this is Garrick. He's the common denominator between these two categories. And then the funny thing is Odo got some of the other votes in the pairing. Odo and Quark also got a vote. And then Bashir and O'Brien got a vote. So as much as we kind of make fun of Bashir, he's always been kind of the punchline through so much of the UPees. He is a good pairing when he's paired up with another guy in the show, as we've noticed. Good with Garrick and good with O'Brien.
I think as far as our main characters go, I don't count Garrick as a main character. He's a recurring character. As far as our main characters go, I think Bashir O'Brien is the best bromance out of any of the Star Treks. I mean, maybe not Kirk and Spock, but I mean, certainly better than something like Paris and Kim.
Now, are you just bringing in some of your baggage from later seasons, or are you just saying that from third season? Like, you think their bromance came into its own and was really great this season?
I think it's overall, but I mean, they had good moments this season, but overall,
I agree that they had good moments, but I don't know that it got to it. It's not the greatness in this season, which is why I think somebody else could slip in and win.
Well, I mean, but no. I'm not saying they should win this season, but I'm saying overall, I think by the time we get to season 7 and the end of the show, I think that they have the best bromance. But that's just
it won't come as a surprise to anyone. But the person who voted for the O'Brien Bashir coupling
is Melissa.
Yeah. And I know she loved that one scene, but I got to imagine, and it's a shame she's not here to talk about it, but I think she's bringing in the baggage of what we see in the next seasons into this.
You're talking about the scene in Explorers where they're singing.
Right.
Yeah. It was a great scene, but
yeah, agreed.
It's not quite there to the whole episode, or 2 episodes practically devoted to the Garrick and Odo, for example, pairing.
Agreed.
So here are the big ones. The nominees for Best Episode of Season 3 are The Adversary, The Improbable Cause / The Dias Cast arc, Visionary, The Past Tense arc, Defiant, and Civil Defense. And because Edward Winterrose is not in on the voting, the UP goes to Civil Defense.
As it should.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I love Improbable Cause Dias Cast, and actually all the other ones on there were pretty good, but Civil Defense by and far and away was my favorite this season.
It's funny because Improbable Cause, the Dias Cast arc, got the UP for the most entertaining episode, yet Civil Defense won for best single episode. I think that's kind of funny, but
Was
it's all well earned.
Wait, was Civil Defense? So I don't even think it was in that entertaining category. Otherwise, I probably would have voted for that too.
That was an oversight. It was not in there. Whoops. All right. Honorary UP for entertaining episode, Civil Defense. Oversight. So we all like the good episodes, but we all got a little soft spot for the worst episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And the nominees for the worst episode of season 3 are Distant Voices, Shakar, Fascination, and Meridian.
It's got to be Meridian.
Well, yeah, statistically speaking, it better be.
It's got to be Meridian.
Yeah.
This is for worst episode,
Yeah.
Worst episode.
not best worst episode.
Yeah.
Interpret the category how you will. It's worst episode. The UP goes to, and shockingly enough, not in a sweep. In fact, all episodes got at least one vote in that. The UP goes to Meridian.
Good.
I mean, really, could it be anything else? But we did get some good split in those votes.
No, Meridian's by far.
I need you to
away
go
the-
through the votes on that one. Who voted for what? Come on, reveal the inside backsider information there.
Well, the Fascination one's got to be him because he's the only one who thought it was truly terrible.
All right. Well, this is an interesting thing. Yes, Matt, 1 for 1 with Fascination. I thought that was the worst episode of the season. It's just crap. That episode was garbage.
It was nowhere near as bad as you're making it out to be, and certainly not worse than Meridian.
All right. Any guess on who voted for Distant Voices?
Probably Melissa.
Blair, correct, with Distant Voices.
Best
and
worst
then-
episode of this season, by the way.
If we're gonna go with that, yeah, that might be true.
It is definitely the best bad episode. It's just I would watch it again right now.
Ugh, I never want to see that again.
And then our security officer Tack with Shakar, which I got to respect him for, but
Yeah, Shakar was
that
pretty
episode
bad.
wasn't that bad, but it was bad.
Yeah, it was.
It was not very good. But Meridian
But it
was
wasn't
horrendous.
offensive. It wasn't offensive, and it was at least capably told in some way. It wasn't like it bored at moments and went astray. But that doesn't make it awful. These other ones are awful for lots of reasons.
And we end with our biggest award. The nominees for Best Main Cast. Oh, shit, I kind of changed our naming of it. I should change that. The nominees for Main Cast MVP of Season 3 of Deep Space Nine are Ben Sisko, Quark, O'Brien, Dax, Kira, Bashir, and Odo. And one second. I want to do a little something here. So before we reveal the winner, I just want to go back and remind everyone the MVP of season 1 was Quark. The MVP of season 2 was O'Brien. And the MVP of season 3, by unanimous vote, surprisingly enough,
Odo.
is Odo.
Odo.
This was
Wow.
an Odo season. It really
was.
was.
Chris, you
Yeah.
should tweet that out because Renee will probably respond to it. He's pretty active on Twitter.
Again, I kind of marvel at this every time is that well, now we actually have a captain, but the quote unquote captain of a Star Trek 3 seasons deep is not winning the MVP of the show.
But the thing is, it's not because it's bad. It's because we have an embarrassment of riches on this show.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, well, it's hard to say because the show gets so good and diverse, and then we're going to have Worf coming into the mix. But I could see Cisco winning coming up.
One of these.
Yeah, Cisco, like when we get to like season 6 is the one that has In the Pale Moonlight. That makes him a very strong contender that season.
Yeah.
And I would say another strong contender could be Jake off the strength of The Visitor. When it's not even necessarily the same actor through it, that alone he could win a season MVP for me.
I mean, here's the thing: I'm looking forward and not looking forward to that episode because the episode is so good, but it's such a downer and so poignant and very, very sad that I don't know if I'm necessarily looking forward to watching it. But I know that it's good. How weird is that? I can't explain it to you.
A little peek behind the curtain. I had to look at the scheduling to see who would be doing the notes on that episode. And I was really happy to find that I wasn't the one because the notes would end up with me just weeping through the, 5th act of the episode, basically. So I'm happy I'm not going to end up doing the notes on that one, which I thought that episode was a lot further into the show.
It's like second episode of the season.
So
I'm not prepared emotionally for this.
Anybody?
What?
So who got the notes for it?
Give me a second. I can pull up the schedule.
It's either me or Blair, right? Oh, Melissa's in the schedule now. This might be a Memory Alpha one.
Sorry.
Wow.
It's edited out. I'm editing this.
Well,
The show notes are Blair on that episode. Blair, make sure you have the emotional weight the episode's deserving in the notes.
Oh, now you put the pressure on. Jesus.
yeah, come on.
None of that anyway or anyhow. Okay.
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 Come on, you love the okay.
Okay. The father's dead. None of that stuff.
Well, on to the next scene.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up our 3rd annual seasonal UP Awards.
A strong wrap up to a strong season.
It really was. I mean, it makes you want to go straight into that founder storyline right away. And I don't remember. It's interesting because you guys have memory of what that summer was like between these 2 seasons?
No, because I wasn't watching it at the time.
Oh, were you not? All right. I remember coming back just because isn't it immediately out of the gates them shooting phasers and doing like the training?
Yeah, the next one opens up with them drilling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy to see that. And I spent the whole summer just kind of because at this point I was picking up and able to watch it live.
And we also knew Worf was coming into the show too. So there was a lot of anticipation with
that. I don't necessarily remember.
I remember it and I thought, wow, he's going to be in a Deep Space Nine uniform. He's going to look so weird. And I remember thinking that, and what color is he going to wear? And it was interesting.
So that wraps up. We're back to normal programming starting next week where we cover the entire
Way of the Warrior.
2-part episode of The Way of the Warrior, right?
Yeah, because it aired as a 2-hour special. Yes. Nice. So I can't wait to get to this. I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys say because a lot of people consider the season 4 Klingon diversion to be that, just a diversion from the good stuff. But the way that they end up building that side, what could have been a side story back into the main Dominion arc, I think is really fascinating. So I'm looking forward to talking about all that stuff with you guys and sharing it with the listeners. So I'm really looking forward to season 4. I imagine you guys are too. And so thank you for joining us for these special UPs. And let's get ready for season 4, everybody.
And I think speaking of guests and our listeners, we'd be remiss if we didn't thank both our guests and our feedback posters and emailers and Facebook people this year, as we always do. we would like to thank our guests in this season. We had Tack, Kieran, Justin, Edward Winterrose, Chris Mitchell, Lou, James Roberts, Matthias, and Jason. We also had feedback posters again, as usual. We had our ever reliable Kieran and Tack. We also had Becky Black, Lord DeLego, Dan Hitch, Captain Moress, Data Logan, Dark Haze, Red Shirt Ray, Captain Proton, Chris Mitchell, Deoxy Ouster, Shan, and Niner09er. And speaking of feedback, I know we haven't really had any feedback shows lately. However, your cast and crew of UP2 are going to be very diligent in attempting to go and acknowledge everyone's feedback moving forward into season 4. So we're going to try to get our feedback podcast back on board. And we will let you know what the time frame is, whether we go back to the once a month. But moving forward, we are going to start reading those. So we would encourage everyone to please, get back on the feedback posts, and we'll read them.
Yeah. So just to clarify for you guys, we're probably not going to get to the season 3 stuff just because there was so much of a back catalog, and there's a lot of stuff going in all of our lives right now that just makes recording extra shows on top of the normal podcast very, very busy. But we did want to get back to those feedback sections because we know how important it is for you guys to have a voice on the show. So starting with our Way of the Warrior show next week, we'll start picking up the feedback from there going forward.
Yeah, so please send your stuff in.
And in the spirit of that, Blair, before you go on,
certainly,
let's knock out some recent iTunes reviews that we want to thank. Low-Key Half Pint, who listens to 4 different DS9 podcasts but loves them all, especially ours. And then Shan M4. So those are 2 iTunes reviews that just came in very recently, and we're appreciative. Keep on listening, guys.
And not only are we appreciative of those iTunes reviews, I believe we wanted to give a special shout out to a couple of Facebook posters as well.
We certainly did. We are our most dedicated Facebook poster, and I apologize if I butcher the name. Amiriam is our favorite Facebook poster. I know we do interact a little bit back and forth on Facebook, so please continue doing that. And of course, as always, we have our emailers, Colin, Zubair, Lynn, Blur Honda, and Renee. So thank you. Keep the emails coming in, and of course, we will piggyback the emails into our feedback podcasts as well. So thanks everybody. Again, without you listening to our podcasts, it's we certainly enjoy the interaction, whether we do it on the forums or whether we discuss your points through feedback podcasts. So please continue on. It certainly gives us some energy when we know everyone's listening, and thank you very much for supporting us for yet another season, and we look forward to having you on season 4.
Start with the sign-offs, Blair, because that was a pretty good lead-in.
And until we see everyone in season 4, this is Blair from Ontario, Canada. Until next time.
Yep, you got to catch them all. This is Chris in South Carolina.
Personally, I never drink on Oscar nights. It interferes with my suffering. I'm Matt in Buffalo.
This is Matt from Arizona, closing hailing frequencies, setting in a course for season 4, and saying those docking clamps are open and you are cleared for departure.
UPees down.